Okay, welcome to the Thursday, February 8th, 2024 meeting of the Ann Arbor Historic District Commission. The meeting is being held in person and electronically via Zoom. We intend to conduct this hybrid meeting similar to an in-person meeting. However, please be patient if there are technical issues. Members of the public who would like to comment on hearings or other matters may do so in person or virtually. To speak during any of the public comment opportunities, please call 206-337-9723 or toll-free 877-853-5247. Enter meeting ID 965-3669-9762. This information is also available on the published agenda, in the public notes section of the city website, and on the broadcast of this meeting on CTN. CTN can be found on Xfinity Channel 16, AT&T Channel 99, streaming online on YouTube or at a2gov.org/watchctn. Ms. Thatcher, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Calderon.
Here.
Commissioner Fortner. Here. Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Steve.
Here.
What's your last name?
Kaplan.
Steve? Kaplan, thank you.
But I go by that.
Quijano.
Here.
Commissioner Rockland.
Here.
Commissioner Ross. You have a quorum.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Steve.
Thank you, Ms. Thatcher. Okay, now we'll go and approve the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to tonight's agenda? There was a late-breaking agenda sent kind of late in the day, but if you have, you'll be all right. There was just a minor
Yeah, the only
change,
thing
but-
that was changed was that under reports from staff, we added a discussion of the Historic District Annual Retreat. That's it.
I had one agenda item. In December, I believe, we had an election of officers, and you were not present for that.
Okay.
And I just wonder, I wanted to talk about that to make sure everything was clear with what we did and it was okay. Is that old business?
No,
Or can you just let us know right now, or what should I do with that? Because I had that question, I didn't know where to put it.
is it that you weren't sure who was elected?
It was more of a procedural thing,
Oh,
that
okay.
did we do the procedure
Oh, okay.
right without staff
count.
here
Yeah,
telling
no.
us exactly what to do all the time, as you do so
Yes,
nicely.
Yes, I went
Yeah.
over it with the staff person who filled in for me at that meeting. And
Great.
it did require a little sorting out.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know all of you.
Yeah.
But we got through it and we watched the video and it's fine. It was all good.
Excellent.
You did a great job.
Great. So that agenda item is taken care of, and then without objection, I don't see any other agenda items, so we'll just say it's approved as presented.
Great.
Thank you for that, Jill. Now we'll move on to public comment. This is an opportunity for persons to speak for up to 3 minutes about an issue that is not listed as a public hearing on this agenda. To comment on such other preservation matters, please call in using the information displayed on the meeting agenda and the video feed. City staff will select callers one by one using the last 3 digits of your phone number. To electronically raise your hand to indicate your desire to speak, please press *9 on your phone, and you'll hear an automated announcement that the host is allowing you to speak. Do we have anyone calling in?
No one in the Zoom room.
Okay, and no one coming to the podium here, so I will close the public comment section. Okay. E, unfinished business. Yeah, we do not have any unfinished business, so now we'll move right into hearings, and we'll go to hearing F1, that's 402 2nd Street. Ms. Thatcher, would you please give the staff report?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Just promoted McLean Clutter, who is the applicant's representative, or the owner's representative. Down here. Hi, McLean. All right, I'm going to run through the staff report here. This is in the Old West Side Historic District. This is a 1 3/4 story home. Features side gables, knee wall windows, and a stone front porch with square half columns. A one-story addition with a shed roof spans the rear of the house, and it's listed in the 1894 city directory, which means that it's probably older than that, possibly considerably, based on its design. In 2014, fake brick siding and a non-historic chimney were removed. Sites at the southwest corner of 2nd Street and West William Street. This is the 2nd Street view from the front. The applicant is seeking HDC approval to add a 129 square foot second floor bathroom addition on top of an existing single-story rear wing. Infill a door opening on a post-1948 addition, and add a 6x6 inch vent on the south elevation. All right, running through the pictures. This is the south, the sunny side of the house. And this is the north side of the house. You can see the one-story wing in the back here. It's, this roof slopes this way, and this roof slopes this way, and it's a little bit complicated back there. There, you can see it better. It's sort of a hip coming down in two directions on the back of the house. There is a door in an opening here that I apologize, I don't have a really good picture of it. There may be one in the packet, but this little addition in the back is not from the period of significance. So this door, therefore, is not anything historic, and staff has no problem with infilling that. And the addition would sit right up here on top of the roof and on top of the single story on the back. Current roof plan, this is the front with the front porch facing east. Here's the roof ridge, and here's those two one-story roof surfaces on the back. And the little, this one is the non-contributing part of the building. Proposal is to add this room on the top, 14 feet by 16 feet approximately. Would have a metal roof, and it looks like it's got a skylight there. This is the existing footprint on the existing floor plan on the first floor. This is the existing second floor plan. Here's the proposed with that doorway infilled. They're going to make better space, better utilize some of this space. And here is the outline of the addition on the second floor. You can see that it's set in from the corner. Looks like, I'm not even sure I can read that. I'm sure it's in my notes in a minute. It's set back considerably on this side, and it's really pretty minimal. There are two bedrooms up here, but there's no bathroom, and this would give them a bathroom on the second floor. Existing on the top and proposed on the bottom. Very low slope roof, kept below the the roof ridge of the house. It has on either side a square fixed glass picture window. The cladding is a smooth imitation stucco, and the goal is to make it as unobtrusive and minimal and receding as possible when viewed, because this is a very prominent view since it's on a street corner. This is the front elevation, but there are no changes proposed there. This is the other side, the south side elevation proposed on the bottom. I'm sorry, guys, I don't know why I can't talk tonight. Existing on the top, proposed on the bottom, very similar on this side. And here you can see how it is set up top there from the back. Here's where that door used to be that's been infilled. We've got a long skinny window up here on the top. We've got our metal roof and skylight. I have to admit that I had some concerns about the stucco, the imitation stucco cladding, but then the applicant showed these photos of samples of other buildings, and it really is really smooth and clean and simple. And since the Secretary of the Interior doesn't want us to confuse the historic work from the new work and says that it can be of modern design, I think that this is a pretty complimentary way to accomplish that and still perch something on the roof in a way that's difficult to figure out in terms of design. Let's see, the proposed current house is 1,217 square feet. This is an increase of 11%. Windows are Marvin aluminum clad The roof would only be nominally visible from the public right-of-way. You'd have to back up on Madison a lot or two in order to get a look at it. And staff is recommending approval. Let me go through some standards and guidelines first. The Secretary of Interior standards that best apply, and these will also apply to 3 other applications tonight, so you're all in luck. I only have to read all of the standards and guidelines once, and then we'll be good for the night. So, number 2 says the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. Number 5 says distinctive materials, features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a property will be preserved. Number 9 says new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old, shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. And number 10 says new additions and adjacent or related new construction will be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property will be unimpaired. From the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines for building site, it's not recommended to introduce new construction onto a building site, which is visually incompatible in terms of size, scale, design, materials, color, and texture, or which destroy historic relationships on the site. It's recommended to locate the attached exterior addition at the rear or on an inconspicuous side of a historic building, and to limit its size and scale in relationship to the historic building. Also, designing new additions in a manner that makes clear what's historic and what's new. Also, constructing a new addition so that there's the least possible loss of historic materials so that character-defining features are not obscured, damaged, or destroyed. Not recommended is designing and constructing new additions that result in the diminution or loss of the historic character of the resource, including its design, materials, workmanship, location, or setting. From the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines, from the guidelines for all additions, it is appropriate to design an addition so it's compatible in terms of massing materials, relationship of solids to voids, and proportion of openings. It's also appropriate to limit the size and scale of the addition in relationship to the historic building so it does not diminish or visually overpower the building or the district. The addition's footprint should not exceed 1/2 of the original building's footprint or 1/2 of the original building's total floor area. Not appropriate is designing a new addition that requires the removal of significant building elements or site features. Also from the design guidelines, it is appropriate to place new walls in a different plane from the historic structure in a subordinate position to the historic fabric. That would apply to both walls and roofs. And also not appropriate is designing an addition that overpowers or dramatically alters the original building through size or height. For roofs, it's appropriate to retain and maintain original historic roofing materials, roof shape, dormers, cupolas, chimneys, and built-in or decorative gutters and downspouts. All right, that concludes staff's report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thatcher. Myself and Commissioner Kaplan were on the review committee. So now we'll get the review committee report. And Commissioner Kaplan, do you want to go first on this one? So just let us know, you heard the staff report.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
what were your kind of observations there?
Well, I think the one thing that stuck out for all of us was the choice of siding for what they were going to put up there. The stucco. The pictures were a relief to me that you just sent or showed Jill. But other than that, I didn't see that I didn't think it dramatically took away from the existing house.
Very good. I think that the one thing that was mentioned in the staff report that I'll reiterate is it is a corner house, or it's a corner lot, corner house, and there's not really a backyard. It's sort of set it feels like at least in kind of the far back corner, like if you're standing on the corner looking at it, it's kind of in the far corner away from you. And there's a very nice front yard and a very nice side yard. So it is sort of this feeling of it being set back a bit. It's not right on the sidewalk, just to kind of give you the feel of, hopefully you've seen it, but just that was kind of, when we were looking at it, that was like the overwhelming feel of the house was that it's just kind of pushed back from the sidewalk on both sides. Okay, so then let's move now to the applicant comments. So I see we have the applicant, McLean Cutter, already on the Zoom, which is great. So, hi, McLean. Would you please give us let us know if you heard anything in the staff report or in the review committee comments that you have a comment on, or just give us a general comment if you'd like. Let us know what you'd like to add, and the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, David. Thanks, Jill. I think Jill did a really great job, actually, of summarizing the project. The first floor, the work is very, very minimal, only removing a non-contributing door and adding a very small vent. The second floor, it's a small addition of a bathroom, which would be the only bathroom on the second floor. And so really the intention there is to bring the house up to contemporary living standards, make the house ultimately appropriate for people with children, the elderly, or others who might have a hard time getting up and down those stairs to go to the bathroom. I think, as Jill noted, the massing and kind of placement of the addition is meant to be complementary to the house and to the surroundings. It's meant to be simple and recessive and really not take attention away from the existing house. And so the geometry of it, again, the setbacks from the planes, the 7-foot setback from the most public facing side of the building, all of this was in that spirit. I certainly understand the potential concerns about the stucco, given some of its reputational issues. The reason we chose the stucco is that it is an extremely simple, clean, recessive material. And when properly installed, it's also a very, very durable material that will show well for many years. And so the hope was that the massing and geometry of the addition, again, would be complementary to the existing, but through its materiality, the addition would not try to masquerade as part of the original house, would not try to look like the original house, would not try to confuse the history that's embedded in the original house. And that was, our understanding of the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines. It's a difficult project in that it is a corner lot. So again, impossible to hide it entirely. I think it will be hid quite a bit actually by trees and most visible from the north side, and we've done our best to make it as minimally visible as possible.
Great, thanks, McLean. I'm wondering if any of the commissioners have a question for the applicant. Not seeing any down here. None down here. I just had one question. So I think the minimal detail, I agree, it really helps with, I feel that it really is helping with the complementary aspect. And really, I just, the one detail that does, that I'm curious about is the overhangs, where you sort of, there's no overhangs on the side, and then there's a very thin overhang on the back. And since that's really the, almost the only detail that's going on, I just am curious why, can you explain that? And is that, I'm sure it's doing something that is either complementing or differentiating. So can you explain that, please?
Yeah, David, thanks for the question. I mean, it's meant to just make the articulation of the roof from that west side as thin and recessive as possible, so that when it's, as I think it's commonly called a knife edge detail, and it's made to kind of make the roof plane almost go away. So there were some views I included in the package. I don't think I had any actually from the west side, but again, it's meant to make the roof feel lighter, not as heavy, and so meant to make the massing not feel as clunky or massive, especially as you see it from that most public side.
Very good. Thanks for that explanation. I don't see any further questions, so now we'll move on to the public hearing. So I would like to open the public hearing for this item. This is an opportunity for people to speak for up to 3 minutes about this application at 402 2nd Street. So public comment may be made in person or calling in using the information displayed on the meeting agenda and the video feed. Is there anyone waiting to come into the public hearing?
There is not.
Okay. And there's no one approaching the podium here. So I will now close the public hearing portion of this application. And now we'll go into a commissioner motion, and I'm wondering if there's a commissioner who would like to make a motion on this application.
Can do it. I just
Commissioner Quijano,
scroll me.
thank you very much.
Of course. If I can find it.
Take your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 402 2nd, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to add a 129-square-foot second-floor bathroom addition on top of an existing single-story rear wing, infill a door opening on the post-1948 addition, and add a 6-inch by 6-inch vent on the south elevation. As proposed, the work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 5, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site, additions and roofs, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all additions, residential additions, and roofs.
Great. That was moved by Commissioner Quijano and seconded by Commissioner Smith. So is there any discussion on the motion? Any comments? There is a photo of the door in our packet, if anyone wants to see that before we get to a vote here. It's sheet A09, which is page 17. It's a flush door with a little animal cut out in it. Looks like a little kitty door or something like that. I don't know. Very small dog. It's there if anyone wants to see it. I will agree with the applicant that corner lots are very tricky to add on to with the standards as they're written. And so, yeah, I think this application meets the standards in doing so. I think that when you have an addition on a historic house that's it's got minimal details and maybe you could say modern massing, it really seems to work well where it's very differentiated because of that, and then also since it's so minimal, it just seems to complement also in a way. So that's what I'm seeing here. So let's go to a vote if I'm not seeing any other questions or comments. So great, let's vote. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Great. So the motion carries. Your application has been approved. Please note you must apply for any required permits from the city before beginning your project. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you all.
See ya. Okay. We will now move on to the next hearing. That's hearing F2, 552 5th Street. Ms. Thatcher, the staff report, please.
All right. 552 5th Street is again in the Old West Side Historic District, as all of tonight's applications are. This is a 2-story gable fronter, features cornice returns, a gabled wall dormer on the south elevation, and a full-width stone front porch with tapered round half columns. First appears in Polk City directories in 1918. the HDC approved the location of a gas meter on the house in 2021, which you can see in this photo. House is on the northwest corner of 5th Street and West Madison, and the applicant is seeking HDC approval to install a solar array of black-on-black panels on the south-facing roof of the house. It's actually on the south-facing and the north-facing, but the south-facing, which is not this side but the other side, is what brought this out of staff approval territory and kicked it back to the commission. So, lovely, highly visible corner lot. Proposal is to put some panels back here. At first, when the review committee walked up, I think we were all pretty unanimous in thinking, well, why don't they just ask for the whole roof? But then we walked across the street and you can kind of see, well, because this is really prominent as a feature of the historic house. So there's really no room in the yard to put anything like ground mounted or pole mounted. The garage is small and attached to the house, and so that's not really a suitable place either for solar panels. And there's not a backyard on this house either, another corner lot. So really, in order to have solar panels on this house, enough of them, they're putting half of them, they're proposing on the back half back here, and the other half where I just showed you. So this is the lot. You can see, here's the garage, here's the side yard. There's just nothing, no place to put any solar panels in the back. Here's a roof plan showing 5 panels on the north roof face and 4 panels on the south roof face. They are black-on-black panels, which is appropriate. And they are doing some work on the interior to sister some of the joists in order to make sure that they can carry the load of the new panels. It is stamped by an engineer, and there's a lot more information in the packet if you want to get into the weeds of solar panel installation. But for us, I've already read to you Secretary of Interior Standard number 2 and number 9 and number 10. So from the guidelines for roofs, it's recommended to identify, retain, and preserve roofs and their functional and decorative features that are important in defining the overall historic character of the building. This includes the roof shape, as well as its size, color, and patterning. It's not recommended to change the configuration of a roof by adding new features, such as dormer windows, vents, or skylights, that the historic character is diminished. So really, that's the question that's being asked here. Would installing solar panels, especially on the south-facing roof, diminish any of the character of the house and the roof? For mechanical systems, it's recommended to provide adequate structural support for new mechanical equipment, which they are doing. From the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines for solar panels, it's appropriate to mount solar panels at grade or on ground pole mountings. In the absence of an appropriate ground-based mounting location, panels should be mounted on side or rear-facing roof surfaces. It's also appropriate to install mechanical and service equipment on the roof related to the solar units and their related devices that they're inconspicuous from the public right-of-way and do not damage or obscure character-defining features. I'll go back to this in a minute, but they are putting the metering and other related stuff on the north side of the house, so the back corner of the house, not the visible side. Let's see. And it's not appropriate to mount solar panels and their related devices on primary elevations or roofs that face the primary elevation or in planes that are highly visible from the street view. This location has the highest impact on the historic character of the building, and all other options should be thoroughly explored. All right, so yeah, here's the meter and connection stuff are all going on the back corner of the house. So staff's opinion is that the 5 panels on the north roof face are inconspicuous and pushed back as far as possible from 5th Street. The 4 panels on the south roof face West Madison, they'll definitely be visible. But it's a corner lot, it's very small, there are limited options, and staff believes that the panels will not be a visual distraction from the historic house or nearby properties. The work is easily reversible, and I really think that it's key that they've pushed everything to the back. So, you know, when you first see the house, this is what you see. This is the front of the house, and yeah, you're going to see solar panels up here, but you know, these days you see solar panels all over the place, and I don't think that they're as indiscreet as maybe when they were new. And I do appreciate that they've limited the number of panels, even though it's the south side and that's where you want them, and pushed them back as far as possible. So staff does support the application and thinks it should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thatcher. Okay, so myself and Commissioner Kaplan were on the review committee. This picture kind of says it all. I don't really have, I don't have anything to add. I guess if I had to choose between a dormer on the south and solar panels, it's nice that the dormer's there, I guess. You got two big windows that would, you wouldn't be able to have those tall windows on that south side without the dormer, right? So they are getting nice daylighting and beautiful sunshine coming in. If the dormer was on the north, you'd have solar panels, but then a north-facing dormer, so I don't know. Commissioner Kaplan, anything to add just on the
Same thing.
on the site?
This was a head scratcher about why not just put solar panels until we got to this corner and looked across the street, and then all those questions were answered. Sort of, that I see what they're doing, and so it makes perfect sense to me.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will now talk to the applicant. So is the applicant here, or are they on? Do we have an applicant? Let's promote them into the Zoom room if they're there.
No, I don't think we have an applicant.
Okay, so we don't have an applicant for this hearing. So did any commissioners have a question for the applicant? If there was an applicant, I'd be curious to know if there was a question. No, we didn't have any questions anyway, so that's good. Let's go right to the public hearing then. I will open the public hearing for this item. This is 552 Fifth Street. This is an opportunity for persons to speak for up to 3 minutes on this item. Do we have anyone calling in? No.
We do not.
Very good. I will now close the public hearing, and we'll go to a commissioner making a motion, please. Do I have a commissioner who would like to make a motion? It's Commissioner Smith. Thank you.
I'd be happy to, and I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 552 Fifth Street, contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District to install a black-on-black solar array as proposed. The work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for roofs, energy efficiency, and mechanical systems, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines, particularly as they pertain to solar installations.
Second.
Very good. That was moved by Commissioner Smith and seconded by Commissioner Quijano. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, good.
I just have a philosophical point here. I would have no issue at all if solar panels covered the entire south roof. This is perhaps where I differ from the Secretary of Interior standards for solar panels on historic buildings. I think it is not a tremendous compromise to add solar panels to a historic roof, on this building. I find it a bit cumbersome that an applicant has to come before us, have a public hearing, slow everything down when we're, in a race as a community. We've said that we want to get to carbon neutrality, and this is a big part of it. And every hurdle that we throw up as a community means it happens that much slower. So I think this is something that we should look at in our own guidelines and perhaps give Ms. Thatcher a little more leeway to just go ahead and administratively approve these things and not hold up these installations.
Thank you very much for that comment. I will say that if the installation is not street facing, then Ms. Thatcher does have that authority, which is great. It's only when there's a street facing application, like the face, right? Yeah.
You understand.
But I still get that you still should, yes. So that is something we could talk about at our retreat, perhaps. I know we have talked about that previously,
Now
but
you-
it just seems like we're growing, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we just want to keep pushing those guidelines so that it's
Yeah.
easier and easier to get solar panels. so.
Now the commission has seen one solar installation that faces the front mid-block, and you've seen one that faces a corner street, which is kind of the only two kinds there are.
Yeah, right.
So now you've seen it all. But yeah, we'd be happy to talk about that at the retreat.
Yeah.
Or during a meeting.
Very good. And I agree with you I think it is maybe case by case, though, which does make that difficult for staff. But when we're talking about a roof that it doesn't have the original materials on it anyway, the historic materials of the roof are gone, and we don't expect homeowners to replace like the old wood shingles with, well, they're not there anymore, so they don't, they don't have to replace asphalt shingles with, wood shakes or something if that's what was there. So we're talking about putting something on top of something that's not a historic material anyway, and I agree that
It's as much aligning our policies and procedures with what our goals and visions are as a community.
agreed. There are a lot of other items where it's in conflict,
Yep.
so we have to take all those at a case-by-case basis, but I like the direction that you're pushing us, so very good. I don't know if that has any impact on this. We just are, I guess, voting on the application at hand, and then we have this side discussion. So let's get to that vote unless there's any other comments. I don't see any, so all those in favor of this motion, please say yes.
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 Yes. All those opposed, please say no. The motion carries. Your application has been approved. Make sure you get that building permit.
Oh, they're already in, believe me.
They're in and waiting on
Yeah,
you.
they're waiting on
Okay,
me.
can we call right now and let them know it's been approved? Are they
Ready
open?
tomorrow morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, that's how it works.
Good. Let's get those electrons, sunny electrons into the grid. Very nice. Okay, so moving along, we're going to F3. That is the hearing for 1034 West Liberty. Ms. Thatcher, would you please give the staff report?
Yes, this is a 1 3/4 story bungalow that features a stuccoed first floor, shingles on the second floor, cross-gabled roof plan, and a full-width stuccoed front porch with knee walls flanking the front stairs. First appears in Polk City directories in 1919, is the home of Lucy and George Harrer. George was a partner in Linden Schmidt Apfel and Company Clothiers at 209 South Main. The house had a detached garage in 1931 that is no longer present. In 2013, an application was approved to replace the slate roof with an asphalt roof. 2021, an application for a gas meter was approved. This house is on the north side of West Liberty, east of Eber-White Boulevard and west of 8th Street, and it backs up to Slauson Middle School. The applicant is seeking HCC approval to add a 2-story rear addition with a walkout basement, a rear deck, and 3 skylights on the addition's roof. All right. This house has a lot of trim, a lot of cool eave overhangs. It's got these barge boards. It's got moldings. The soffits are like beadboard. And it's on a fairly narrow but deep lot. And you can't see so much from here, but you can see better from here that there's a significant slope to the backyard. This is probably a 6-foot drop from the house to where I'm standing, taking the picture. There's so much trim up here, in fact, that they had to brace it with these little metal brackets on either side, which I hadn't even noticed until one of the commissioners pointed them out at the review committee. And the application is to put an addition on the back, 2 stories straight off, and to take advantage of the slope to dig down a little bit. We talked to the homeowner about inquiring how much that would actually be from the architect, but to basically inset 18 inches and go back. You'll notice that there are very cool original windows, 6/1, 8/1, 10/1. you name it, this house has them. And it also has this row of 3 fixed windows, a la piano window style. This is where you might put your piano or your buffet underneath these windows. That's why they were higher. You often see them on the backs of these 19 teens and 20s houses. This back porch, there's nothing historic about it. This is all new materials, the roof, the posts, the deck. Nothing significantly historic there. This is just a shot looking up the other side, pretty close to the lot line. There's also there's a matching gable. It is a cross gable house. There's a matching gable on this side as well. Looking to the east, both of the houses next door have large rear additions. I think that these look wider than this one, especially than perhaps it is, because everything's loaded on this side. This is an angle that makes it look particularly giant. And one of the 2 of these was pretty recent through the HDC, like in the last 5 years. On the west side, there are a row of houses that do not have additions on the back. There are fences in between here. Moving on to the drawings, one thing I'd like to point out before we get very far is, see how this is drawn as a very heavy, significant band here, and it kind of isn't. If you go back, see how there is a flare here, but it's really only from the 3rd course of shingles down to the bottom course of shingles. That's a common craftsman feature of this time, but it's really not as heavy as, the drawing depicts, so I didn't want you to be confused by that. Proposal is to put this addition on the back, and it would have a little entry room, a deck off the back, and then a walkout basement underneath. There are skylights on both sides. We'll get to that in a sec. Existing basement, kind of cool that there are rooms underneath the front porch. You don't always see that. Existing porch and deck off the back of the kitchen. Upstairs, bedroom. The proposed basement is to add a rec room. That's the foundation of the addition. Then there's a covered patio. This is the walkout part of the basement. It has a slider. This is a masonry wall that is continued. It's at this point, it's not a weight-bearing wall. It's just a wall, like a privacy wall, or maybe perhaps to hold earth back, since this is a sloped lot. Then we have the proposed first floor plan. You can see that there's a kitchen here. And these are the piano windows that would be removed. And then we've got a deck off the back. It is significantly inset on the corners, which is very much appreciated. On the 2nd floor, there's a new bedroom in the addition. To differentiate the addition from the current house, they do have the 18-inch insets on the corners. Then instead of using stucco all the way across, they've proposed to use 4-inch exposure cedar siding on the main floor, though keeping the cedar shake shingles on the upper floor. There's a parge coat on the new basement wall that'll be compatible with the stucco. You'll notice, though, that the roof ridge is continuous. It's almost cut off on the screen. I'm sorry if you can't see that, but there's not. It doesn't dip down as we usually, insist upon for 2nd floor additions. And here you can see where the roof ends here, and here's the inset from the corners, but the roof ridge is the same ridge. So we talked to the homeowner a little bit about it, and we're hoping to hear from the architect about whether there is something that makes that, a requirement in order to make that new addition 2nd floor habitable, or if it was just the way it was designed, and whether or not it can be lowered down below that barge board. Proposed west elevation, a couple of skylights. Here's that little bump out entryway. It's got one window on this side. And here's that wall that's like a privacy wall or a earth retaining wall. some renderings. Again, be a little more gradual than it shows, but it does slope significantly. That's probably the most prominent view from sort of the back of the yard at the lower point. One discrepancy is that on the drawings, the railing is stained wood railings on a Trex deck. But also in the packet, there was this classic composite series railing. So we need a little bit of clarification on whether they're using the wood or the composite railing. I really don't have an opinion either way. I think that either one would be appropriate for a back deck. But I'd just like some clarification on which one they'd like to use. And the Trex decking, which is fine and appropriate on a back deck. So I have read to you all of the standards and guidelines already, so I'm not going to go through those again. And let me see if I missed anything here. House is currently 1,342 square feet. The proposed addition is 310 square feet downstairs and 285 upstairs. That is an increase of 44% from the original floor area. The footprint is currently 671 square feet. The increase is 310 square feet, or 46%. So that is within the guidelines, which say that you should keep it at 50%. I think that's about all that I have. With the exception of wanting to hear more about the roof ridge, staff thinks that all the other proposed work is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thatcher. So now we'll move on to the review committee report. Commissioner Kaplan, do you want to let us know?
I mean, I just think that with the exception of the roof ridge, a lot of what was being added here was using the drop in grade to sort of hide it. So I thought that was an effective way to not have what they're bringing to the house overpower what's already there.
Thank you. Okay, so when you're in the backyard, the neighbor's house to the left, that you showed two of them. The closest one, that house had the gable, so the eave was facing the street. In the house, in this application, the gable's facing the street. They look very similar, but you can imagine how if the eave is facing the street, it's a much wider house to the street. So the addition it looks wide because it's wide. It could be because of the fact that the house is rotated. This house, with the gable facing the street, it does have the cross gable, but then there's the gable returns, and so that's why it's narrower. The land did slope away from the sidewalk, down from the sidewalk, quite a bit. And then it slopes off even more, like if it goes back to Slauson, I think. So it goes down quite a bit at the end of the property, but kind of, and it feels quite deep. So this is like we're talking about addition and a sizable deck, but the property was quite deep. It felt deep enough, but I don't know if it felt like it sloped low enough to have the walkout basement. We wanted some more explanation for how much kind of digging and regrading will have to happen for that, because it just seemed hard to imagine that being installed without a lot of earthwork there. Let's see. Great. Okay, so those are my notes for the review committee. Let's move on to the applicant's comments. So I see we have the applicant here. Hi, Armin. Would you please provide your name and address for the record? Was not doing that in earlier hearings. I hope we're okay with that and don't get in too much trouble. But please Armin, your name and address for the record, and then let us know, you've got 5 minutes, but just give us any comments. Oh, and we have Michael with us as well. So please, both of you, introduce yourselves and please comment on all the questions that you've heard so far. Thank you.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Armen Harachin, 1034 West Liberty. And Mike, go ahead.
Hi, Michael Kirshner, architect, 210 South Ravina.
Great. So thanks for the time and coming and visiting us and all the work you've done, Jill and team, on this. Don't really have anything to add here other than we did talk about the roof line, so we'll defer to Mike. We're open to either way here, but there was a reason for it. So Mike, want to jump in?
Yeah, let's start with the ridge line. We had originally, as Jill can attest, that we originally had that down 10 inches, a foot or so. And then in kind of enhancing and massaging the section of this building in that master suite or the primary suite upstairs, it's come down to kind of, it always does. It comes down to kind of a game of inches. And, you know, if you're trying to get proper clearances over a toilet, things like that, as we all know, it can come down to an inch or two. So I said, well, what if we raise it back up? That gets us completely in the clear. We can pretty much do what we need up there. Since then, we've met with the contractor in response to after your visit and kind of looked at it together. And I do think we would, I mean, aesthetically, I would like to lower that. I think it works better. And I think we kind of came into a nice happy medium, and that would be probably pulling it down about 8 inches, 8 to 10 inches maybe, to keep that barge board that Jill mentioned, some of that intact visually, and then put the addition up to that. So I think if that's acceptable to come down about 8 inches and show a relief there, that's what we plan on doing. And that keeps us still in a good area for clearances, head height clearances, and then also addresses the aesthetic.
Great, thanks for that explanation. Can you also, I guess, just keep going on the other sort of main comment we heard, which was the walkout basement area, and just let us know kind of what do you need to do in terms of earthwork for that, if any? Again, when we met with the contractor and tried to pinpoint and do a datum line and try and figure out, kind of to give you a rough estimate of how much, obviously more earth will have to be taken out and then it'll be built back up, obviously with a gravel and a slab on grade underneath the deck. But finished materials, give or take, we figure we're going to be about, at the very end of that deck, about 2 to 2.5 feet down. So it will require kind of a side retaining wall and a short one where the stair is, and then we'd like to do that full wall on the west side. So it does, it's an indentation in the ground further. Okay. But the whole impetus for this was that lot does slope, and it could be a great opportunity to open up that back and really, get proper egress and a nice set of windows and sliding door to really open up that space, to the backyard. And so it was 5.5 feet or so, I think, up by the house, all the way down to about 2.5 feet max.
Can I show you that picture real quick?
Show us a picture. Staff's going to show us a picture here. Thanks for that explanation, Michael.
So, Mike, is this the retaining wall down here?
Yes, that's the shorter one on the east side.
That's the 2.5? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, the level of the slab below, yes, would be at the very bottom of that.
Okay.
Running back towards us, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Great, okay. Quick comment on the railings on the back deck. That was the other thing we heard. There was a question. Stained wood,
Yeah.
plastic. What do we got?
And I figure that would be caught because the drawings and the renderings, everything's showing this more modern, horizontal. And that was the original kind of concept. At the last minute when we're throwing in materials, I put in the more traditional vertical system and kind of left that out there almost on purpose as a either or situation. And it's nice to hear that the staff thinks that either one would be fine. So homeowners just recently told me, Armen has told me that probably the more the more vertical composite railing would be the route they'd want to go. So contrary to the renderings and drawings.
Admittedly, we're an indecisive group over here, so we're a bunch of people in over our heads on this process. So when Mike flagged that for me 2 hours ago, I thought, gosh, we haven't even thought about that yet. So willing to follow your lead on that and be in close contact with Jill throughout the process to make sure what we're doing there makes sense.
If you change your minds, when it's time to build the railing, just let me know. We can probably staff approve something else.
Very, very fair. Thank you.
I had a question back to the I guess the walkout basement area. On the west side, there appears to be a very tall masonry or concrete wall on that side. You described on the north side, there's going to be a wall that's like 2.5 feet high, and then on the east side, there's going to be a wall that goes from 2.5 to 5 feet, something like that. But on the west side, the wall is, I guess, as high as the addition's foundation wall. And I'm just curious why there is a concrete wall there.
I mean, it's a design response, I guess, to give some more privacy to that. You've got the stair going up, and things kind of want to face out to the driveway. That's when the family rolls up into the driveway there and parks behind the house. There's no longer a garage, and that kind of opens up to the backyard and down the hill to Slauson Hill area, and in designing this, I thought it would be a kind of a nice possibility to get, I guess, some privacy. Not that, there's a tall fence right there. It's not that we're looking right into the western yard there. But to just kind of make that a little bit more quaint, you can see the chairs down there. And if this were to turn it into an in-law suite or something, that would be a little bit more private as opposed to being open on all three ends. So if it did go away, yes, it would have to be lowered to, it could step down, it could be about 5.5 feet up by the addition and then kind of taper down following the contour of the land, but we could probably run that in 5-foot increments where it steps down, 16, 18 inches each time on both sides.
That's the side too that has, there's a walkway and the fence right up against that over there. So kind of flexible a little bit on that, but there's no visibility to that area.
Very good. Thanks for that explanation. Mm-hmm. So any other questions for the applicant here during this moment?
Just a minor clarification question.
Great.
So in the elevation drawings, it calls out the new side of the cedar-shaped shingles on the second floor. And I was just curious, is the intent to match the existing on the main part of the house? I assume you're not doing anything to the existing shingles, it's just the graphics look a little bigger than what's there now. So just
yes, no, thank you for seeing that. That's also kind of another, conversation with the contractor and the homeowner, and ideally it could, if it would be able to be approved at least at the staff level up until permitting time, if that's going to be either a hardy shake shingle and a hardy board clapboard siding, or is cedar going to be preferred or required? Yeah, the idea would be is at least to get the exposure somewhat right, but if it is a hardy shake shingle, it is gonna be different, even if it's painted the same color. And I know, that would be the preferred methodology. I was also the architect for the one 2 doors down, and there's a differentiation, but a familiarity between the hardy shake shingle and this existing cedar shingle. So I guess it'd be to kind of make it look somewhat compatible, but not a ripoff of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That sums up the standards very well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, that was great.
Just a reminder that as with the guardrails on the back deck, you really need to choose one. So if you want to go with cedar for now, that would be great. And if you need to move to something else later, we can talk about it, or you can flip them right now.
You have 5 seconds to answer the question.
Armen, I'll let you make that final decision. I would lean towards the composite
gosh.
and get that blessing.
Feels great. That seems great right now, yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Getting the decisions done. This is great. Any other questions for the applicant? Looking this way. Nothing? Okay. Very good. Okay, so we have no other questions for the applicant, so now we'll move on. So this is the public hearing now for 1034 West Liberty. I will open the public hearing, and we've got no one calling and no one coming to the podium here, so I'll close the public hearing. And I'll ask if there's a commissioner who would like to make a motion on this application. Commissioner Fortner, thank you.
Although I'd like to ask if we want, we've had made three decisions. Do we want to include those in the motion? I'm most concerned about that roof line.
Yes.
Do we want to include
Certainly.
that?
Yes, you should include that and as something to be reviewed by staff before permits are issued. And you should also include the composite deck railing.
Okay. Do you want to throw the shingles in there too?
Well, they're going to stick with what's shown for the shingles.
No, I don't think so. I
No?
think
I
that
think
the
wait.
shingles are shown as cedar, and they
Gonna
are
be-
preferring the hardy.
Armen, didn't you,
Correct.
Armen, did you say you wanted to move to Hardy? I thought you said go with what's there. Did I misunderstand that?
Mike?
I think we've settled on the composite.
Positive, yeah.
Composite, got it. Okay. Okay.
My neighbors who are tuning in are also asking about the shared hot tub, and you can keep that out.
Wow.
But they are listening. They are watching right now.
Oh, good.
So we're adding composite railing, composite
Shingles.
shingles.
And if we were to word this to say that the roof line of the addition would be lowered to fit under the barge board of the existing rear gable, would you be comfortable with that?
It's going to be about halfway.
What I heard is 8 to
The
10
barge board.
inches.
Okay.
Yeah, the barge board's, I think, 12, so it's
Okay.
going to be at least 8.
So lowered 8 to 10 inches. Are we good with that?
Okay.
Okay.
Or you could say at least 8. And that, I mean, because 8 to 10 is the same, basically, as at least 8, right?
At least
Yep.
8 inches
Yeah.
below the ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's give this a try. I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 1034 West Liberty, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to add a 2-story rear addition with 3 skylights, a walkout basement, and a rear deck. Application is amended to specify that the rear railings will be vertical composite, that the shingles on the second story of the addition will be composite, and that the roof line of the addition will be at least 8 inches below the existing roof line of the rear gable. As proposed and amended, the work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 5, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site, additions, and roofs, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all additions, residential additions, and roofs.
Support.
Very good. I heard a motion by Commissioner Fortner, thank you, and seconded by Commissioner Quijano. Very good. Let's have a discussion on the motion. Who would like to make a comment here? Anyone? Okay.
No,
Nothing?
I think we kind of talked through quite a bit of it
Yeah.
as we questioned
Yeah,
the applicant.
we certainly did. I agree, and I just want to reiterate, though, that I think lowering the roof ridge was really critical to supporting this project. I think that, maybe there are examples out there where a certain design would not have to lower a roof ridge, but I just think that given the design decisions that were made on this project, where really a lot of the details of the house are being utilized in the addition, and so compatibility is very high. So this is one of the higher compatibility additions, so that means, well, where's the differentiation coming from? And so I think that was kind of the last piece of the puzzle, because the designer did inset the addition, and there was a decision to change materials on the first floor. But I think the windows are very, a similar look. I didn't hear, were the windows sized to differentiate at all? Or, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So they were sized to differentiate. So anyway, that just seemed like the last piece of the puzzle there to make things very clear for me. So I appreciate that. Let me just see. Okay, that was the only comment I had. It doesn't sound like there's any other ones, so let's move to a vote. All those in favor, say yes. Yes. All those opposed, say no. Okay, the motion carries. It's been approved. Please note you have to apply for permits, but other than that, the hearing is complete for this project. Thank you very much.
So,
Oh, hold on.
Mike and Armen, when your building permit comes in, that's the stage where I'll be looking at that roof height and stuff. So just make sure it's clear on that permit, and you'll be all good.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Okay. So we'll move on now. This is the fourth hearing, F4, and it's at 805 3rd Street. Ms. Thatcher, will you please give the staff report?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, 805 3rd Street, also in the Old West Side Historic District, and it's a one-story gable front home that first appears in city directories in 1934 as the home of William Burkle, a laborer, and his wife Helen. It features a full-width front porch that was originally unenclosed. Most of the windows are original 3/1, a few are modern replacements. Siding is vinyl and the trim is wrapped in aluminum. The type of siding under the vinyl is unknown. An addition was built on one side of the roof at the rear of the house to make a habitable second-story room, probably after 1990. In 2004, the HDC approved an application to replace 9 aluminum storms being used as porch windows with composite windows. That application stated that the wood windows in the house were not being replaced. It is located on the east side of 3rd Street, south of Cook Avenue and north of West Davis Avenue, way at the top of the hill. And the applicant is seeking HDC approval to remove a rear deck and construct a single-story addition with a walkout basement and 4 skylights. So here's the house we're talking about. There is a garage here on the side. It was originally C-shaped, or it had a 90-degree angle in it, like it still does today. On the, let's see, this is the north side. This is the second floor addition. It's popped up above the roof ridge, so it's larger than just a dormer, like a shed roof or something up there. Here's another photo of the garage. The doors have been replaced. It looks like the openings possibly been changed, but it is from the period of significance.
And the roof was changed too.
And the roof was changed. It used to be a flat roof, and now it's got a little gable in it, which obviously there is snow in Michigan, and that's a good thing. This is the most amazing backyard. It is so steep. You go down this really steep flight of stairs, and you've got this lovely big backyard, but I've really never seen a drop like that. But you're at the top of a hill, so it makes perfect sense. Back of the house has a couple windows on the first floor, a door on the first floor, and here you can see the back of the garage. The garage was added onto, I'm not sure when. I think it was probably after 1944, but I didn't look too closely into that. It was just sort of extruded toward the back. Here's an aerial photo to help you see. It's a lovely deep backyard. Here you can see the garage originally ended about halfway back here, and it was a L or a C shape. There's a very narrow passage in between the house and garage that exists today. And the proposed addition is on the back. It replaces where the deck currently is in the backyard. I don't have a good picture of that, but basement plan, existing, pretty typical. Main floor, existing. It's a rectangular footprint. And the second floor, the proposed is to add an addition off the back. It is inset, and then it pops back out. That's because they're close to the lot line and they're close to the garage over here. So there's really, you can't do a traditional, just fill up the back of the house and go out for a ways. So it does get very narrow and deep. There are some design features that distinguish it that you'll see in a second, though. This is the main floor with the new addition on the back. It's got a bedroom, a bathroom, a closet, a mudroom. Okay, this is the north elevation, not the driveway side. Here's that little inset that I talked about, and it does also have a dropped roof line, which is very much appreciated. In part, that was probably to clear a window that's on the second floor that serves this bedroom that's up here, but it does make for a nice little sort of a mini hyphen.
Half a hyphen?
Half a hyphen, yeah. From the rear elevation, pretty modern look on the back. Let's see, there are a couple of skylights. Here's that existing window that's being preserved up on the top, and this is where the walkway would be to the backyard. Looks like these are new poured concrete steps, a little wider, and we've got the walkout basement. Well below the existing roof line, which is much appreciated. And then this is the garage side, so most of this wouldn't even be visible at all from the way that the garage wraps around the house, but there is an entry door here that would be the closest to the driveway. This is an inset, which is an interesting architectural feature to give them a little more space to open up and pull it away a little bit from the garage. Those new steps going down to the backyard. This is the existing front, and there really aren't any changes proposed to it. There's information in the packet on the clad doors and windows. It's a fairly modern design of window, but it's on the rear addition. And all the windows face the back or the garage. Let me flip to my staff findings and see what I am missing. Garage was built in 1933, and the rear addition was after 1948 on the garage. So the footprint is proposed to be increased from 730 square feet to 1,163 square feet for an increase of 59%. So that is significantly over the 50% guideline, which is a guideline. Let's see, the proposed new floor area is an increase of 57%. The floor area of the new basement's not counted. The reason that they end up going over on the floor area is because of that existing second floor room that has to be counted toward the new post-1944 floor area and counted toward the 50%. The addition itself would be very close to 50% increase in floor area if it weren't for this addition up top. Let's see, cladding is proposed to be 8-inch hardy lap plank siding. There's Tamlin extreme trim and boral trim. Windows are casement or fixed, aluminum clad. There are no windows in the north elevation. The addition will require permission to alter a non-conforming structure from the Zoning Board of Appeals because it's set really close to the side lot lines, but that's not a super big deal. It's not a zoning variance per se, which is a little harder to obtain. They've already applied for that, and I've gone over the design a little bit. So in general, the design matches the Secretary of Interior's standards and guidelines and the design aspects of the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines. The only piece that is that's troubling is that it does exceed the 50% rule for both floor area and footprint. So that is it for staff's report. Thank you. And when I'm not reading you the Secretary of Interior's standards and guidelines, you all should know that there are more in the packet. Sorry, I forget that some of you are new. You can always refer to those. There are others that exist in the world that you can also apply if you've got a favorite standard or guideline. So don't feel like you're just restricted to what I talk about here in the meeting. Thank you.
What was the there was 88% was a number that I remember seeing. What was that in your?
In the staff report?
Yeah, it's in number 2, I think.
Let's see.
It was about the floor area, and I wanted you to explain it
No,
because
you know-
it was tricky.
You know, I don't think that this is correct. I think that I wrote this and then redid all the math for the 4th time, and I think that it would be. I'm very sorry to have left that in there. I think you should just strike that increase in floor area of 88%, because I don't think that that's correct. The applicants did include that in their calculations that were listed on the plans. So thank you for pointing that out.
Thanks for that clarification.
I did this math this way and that way and the other way and measured things myself. And
Appreciate that. Okay. Thank you for the staff report. Now we will move on to the review committee report. Commissioner Kaplan, do you want to give us your report?
I mean, whatever they're doing is way better than the first edition. It's probably not their fault. That the bump out on that roof is.
But it could have been, so we shouldn't say things like
What's
that.
that? Yeah, it could have been. We don't know. No, but other than that, it didn't. You know, again, I think that, especially when there's these dramatic grades in the back, and maybe the original house didn't capitalize as much as it could on the views, just from the point of livability, I think it's good to see, you know, the back of these houses used better.
Thank you. Okay, so, yeah, the staff report was very thorough as always, but I will just reiterate a few things. And one interesting thing that I don't know if you mentioned was if you look at the Sanborn map, the rear property line used to be right at the back of this house. And then the backyard that we were looking at was, I guess, somehow the Cook Street backyards, perhaps. I don't know. But somehow through whatever happens, this long backyard is now their property, and it does feel kind of like on Liberty Street. This property feels very long. The view is incredible, at least in the winter. I don't know if I'd be curious in the summer, because there was a lot of trees on the back property line there. But anyway, you can see for quite a ways from the backyard. Although, if you remember that one of the first photos that Ms. Thatcher showed from the front yard, is you see the house and the garage, they're so close to each other, and the lot is narrow, and the houses are relatively close to each other. You cannot see the backyard at all
Yeah.
from the street. You will not see any of this addition from the street either. From Cook Street, it's possible when you're going down Cook, if you look back, Cook Street felt very low. So like we're up, and like that's already going down quite a bit quickly. And I think there was maybe just a one-story house or something, but when you're standing back there and kind of looking back into the neighbors on Cook Street, into their backyards, you're looking on top of their houses. In fact, one of them had a very cool deck that they had kind of built and attached to their roof, where they were hanging out on the, well, they weren't hanging out, but you could hang out on your roof there. So you were kind of looking down. So in that case, the addition there will feel quite tall, I think, in that one. You can't, not from any right of way, but just for those neighbors. Everything's built to the property. Oh, those neighbors, because this was their old backyard, it's not like they have a 30-foot setback. There's no 5-foot setback to the property line. Then there's going to be 5 feet, I think, and then the addition, which will feel 2 stories high at that point. Because of the slope. You'll see the full basement and then the full second story. So that's kind of the one point where there'll be some impact, because otherwise you're not really seeing this at all. Let's see. Oh, another thing is this this property. We didn't know exactly, but it is like right on the edge of the historic district, like the Old West Side. It's I don't know. Maybe it was 1 or 2 houses further up. Third was, or this was maybe the end. I don't know, but it's right on the edge there, for whatever that's worth. But there's certainly, if you kind of take in the neighborhood setting, you could kind of do whatever you want, just right nearby. 2 or 3 stories down, you're doing whatever, knocking down and building anyway. So that that has kind of some effect. Okay. So that's the review committee report. Of the review committee, of course.
So you were describing the view from, not the public right of way, but from the near neighbor's backyard.
Mm-hmm.
That you would get the full effect of the height.
Yeah.
But if from the street or from the right of way, do you get much of a view? I assume that much of the house is blocking that. So.
Right, so I didn't go down Cook. Oh, from 3rd Street, certainly not. From Cook, there were some vegetation on the property line, so some of it will be blocked by vegetation in the summer. But let's think. I think that you'll see it, but it's going to be a full properties away, right? So it won't be like impacting the street. Yeah.
The houses themselves are a screen.
Yeah, I've got the Google Street View
Yeah.
picture up there, and you're not going to be able to see anything because there are houses in the way.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
a point of fact.
Yeah. You might.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're shorter than the house, so.
Yeah.
In elevation, you would see it, but
gonna see it.
perspectively, you won't see it, I think, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make that
Yeah.
clear.
Of course. Okay, so now we'll go to applicant comments. And is the applicant here? Great. So approach the podium, please provide your name and address for the record, and then you've heard some comments so far in the staff report, so let us know.
Yeah. So my name is Adam Wilbanks. I'm with Draft Design Build, the contractor and designer. for the 805 3rd Street property. So I guess you guys hit on a lot of the challenges of this property. Obviously, as you can tell, it is and was always a very small home with a very tight and long lot, and then the historic garage being, I think at points, like 3 to 4 feet away from the primary residence was very challenging in terms of, as you mentioned, doing a rear addition. Also, the stipulation that we couldn't go up sort of required that we stay very slender and long and take advantage of that deep lot. And then I would say also, as Ms. Thatcher mentioned, the sort of zoning, what we thought was going to be a variance, but alteration of the non-conforming structure because of it's zoned in a multifamily district. Even though the home clearly has always been single family, it's sort of this outlier that's, as you mentioned, the last historic house amongst a sea of multifamily developments. So it's been, a challenging design process, but I think we came to, a concept that should work, that gives the homeowners, what they want, usable square footage, adds additional bedroom, additional bathroom to make it a much more livable space for, for a growing family.
Thank you. So the biggest issue we heard was just being over the standard of
Yeah.
50%. So can you just kind of give us the justification for why you're doing that and
Yeah, so again, going back to, I would say, one of the biggest challenges is the original, the size, the sheer just, small size of the original structure. And then taking into account, as Ms. Thatcher mentioned, the second floor dormer bump out, it makes it very limiting as to what you can do to the point where, you'd more or less be adding on like a shed-sized structure. It makes it so that to make any use of this addition, you have to we're trying to stay close to that 50% mark, but we did end up, just slightly over to make it, to give space to get into the addition and then to actually have like a proper size bathroom, a proper size bedroom, to basically make it useful and not just sort of a vanity addition.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Adam? Steve, no? Okay. Any questions? Okay. Let me just see if I had any. Oh, I just, the one, this is just a detailed question, but I'm wondering, what is the distance between the addition and the boathouse? I didn't see it on the drawings.
Yeah, so as in the plan, there's actually, so at its widest point, at the addition's widest point, which is closest to the driveway, there's a 3-foot walkway, which then, when you get towards the bedroom portion at the back, steps in another 2 feet to become a 5-foot set of steps down.
Okay.
So it's kind of funnels outward into the yard.
Okay. And was that what Ms. Thatcher was referring to, that inset there?
Yeah, the inset.
Okay.
So yeah, the inset occurs when you get sort of beyond there's a mudroom sort of between the existing house and the bedroom portion. The mudroom is the wider width, and then the bedroom steps in 2 feet.
Right, okay. Yeah. And then above that little step-in, there's kind of like a soffit that is up there? Is that to keep the gable symmetrical or something?
That's to maintain the symmetric nature of the gable, as well as obviously from a usability standpoint, making, because we're obviously losing an outdoor patio space, so the homeowners talked about having a spot for like grilling and gathering under that overhang.
Okay, all right. And then, why is it called a boathouse and not a garage?
Yeah.
Or a coach house or something?
I guess, I don't know, the homeowners are here, I don't know exactly.
Previous owner built boats in that garage.
Oh, cool.
Why they would build a boat on top of a hill in That's a different question.
I
Great.
want to know how they get the boat up to the street level.
Yeah. Great. Okay, any other questions for the applicant, or should we move on here? Okay, well, we're going to move on. We might
All right.
invite you back up in a sec, but we'll move on to the public hearing. So I will now open the public hearing for this item. This is an opportunity for people to speak for up to 3 minutes on this application at 8:05 3rd. It doesn't look like we have anyone here, no one on the line, so I'll close the public hearing, and we'll move on to commissioner motion. And would any commissioner like to make a motion? Commissioner Fortner, thank you.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 1034 West Liberty, a contributing property in the, am I on the wrong?
Well,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you- yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, it is a typo.
It's actually a typo, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
My bad.
I was on the right one.
Yeah, you're on the right one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Confused me.
to remove a rear deck. Yeah, it looks like it's
Yeah.
fine
So that should
otherwise.
say 8:05 3rd.
Okay. But everything else is right.
Looks like it.
Yeah. I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 805 3rd Street, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to remove a rear deck and construct a single-story addition with a walkout basement and 4 skylights. As proposed, the work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 5, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site additions and roofs, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all additions, residential additions, and roofs.
Second.
Great. That was proposed by Commissioner Fortner and seconded by Commissioner Calderon. Is there any discussion on the motion? Let's maybe hold off on the size discussion and, you know, is there any discussion on anything not related to the fact that it's over the 50% standard? I think that, you know, something that is maybe a discussion item is this existing slope that is really going to go away. So that, you know, there's like the top of the hill, the backyard is kind of flat, and then there's a very strong slope, and then it kind of evens out. I think that if that was more of a visible thing, it might be, I don't know, questionable to change the landscape in that way. Here it just seems kind of invisible to the street and treacherous, to be honest. It's a very steep slope. But, you know, if that was something that was like part of the neighborhood or something that people were looking at, maybe it would be up for discussion. It's very close to an existing contributing structure, although that structure has been changed drastically. So I think I'm not hearing comments there because, is it maybe because of the fact that that the boathouse has been altered, maybe beyond, I guess it's, you know, lacking character defining features, let's say. Okay, so then let's discuss the standard, the 50% standard. What is anyone thinking that what they're seeing is okay, even though it's over the standards? I'm curious what the commission's thinking.
I would say yes. I mean, I
Yeah.
know typically, yeah, we want to kind of keep our additions kind of appropriately scaled in comparison, but I think in this unique case, for this unique property, as you pointed out, you're really not going to see this. The public views are not impacted negatively, and they've got a lot of other constraints to work with here, and I think that they're getting creative with what they can do to make a usable addition. And it's not excessively exceeding 50%.
I think the rule for 50% is a good one to have. It helps us to protect from situations where someone is perhaps building something that totally overpowers their particular site. In this case, the fact that this site, the dimensions of the lot are such that it still does, even with going a little bit over the 50%, I did not feel like that was looming over the back end of the lot at all. There's still a lot to go after they're done adding to it. Coupled with that, this is such a cloistered site. There's so much built in already between the houses. They're close together, and then the boathouse and the garage kind of effectively wall this off. The only impact the addition has is on their own yard, and they already own it, with the exception of some of the neighbors. But I don't think that's really our purview here. I don't see it affecting the perspective of someone walking down the other streets. I don't think they see it. I don't think it impacts them. So yeah, even though that rule exists, I don't know that it really needs to be stringently enforced here.
Okay. Any other comments, or maybe in the other direction, or what?
Well, I just agree. It's hard to imagine an addition that could have less impact on the historic character of the building from the public right away.
Yeah. Very good.
I mean, I think I'd simply add that, it's a tiny little house there, 50% of that. I mean, that's hardly, enough usable space to justify doing an addition like this.
Yeah.
I think the site context matters, right? And, I think that this is a creative solution to a challenging problem on that site. And, I think, given my background and that I've knocked a number of doors in that neighborhood, on Cook Street there are a lot of weird, cool little setback places that you have no idea that it's really a big house in there. And it's just kind of the quirks of the topography of the coming up the hill there.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great solution to this.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be quite a surprise, kind of once you see the addition. That's cool. Okay, well, thanks for those comments. I agree with all of that, and also add that for this, I agree that this was just a really complex project to take on, and the half a hyphen that's in there really does a lot of design work, and so it naturally adds floor area. But I think it's, if I'm just saying well, what's the extra that they got? And if it's the hyphen, that seems kind of worth it for me to kind of have as part of this project, because I just think it does a lot of things that work on this project. Okay, so any other comments? Doesn't look like it, so let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, please say no. The motion carries. Your application has been approved. Of course, you've already gotten zoning and permits and all of that ahead of time, so thank you very much. Yeah. Great. Well, there's one more, and that's F5.
548 South First Street.
You got it. Staff report, please. Thank you.
Sorry
Sorry about
about
that. Yeah.
Is listed in the 1894 city directory and may have been present in 1883 or earlier. Mrs. Schneider is the first listed occupant of 98 South First Street in 1894. She lived there until at least 1910. The house's first appearance on a Sanborn fire insurance map was in 1916. At that time, the house had a wraparound front porch and a covered rear porch. By 1931, the rear porch had been replaced by a one-story addition, which is a 1.5-story addition today. And the one-story side wing that you see in the photo here is shown in both years. So it is from the period of significance. It's an addition on the side, but it's a very early one. And it also has a stone foundation. I go off here talking about how the Sanborns showed this as a frame house, not a brick house. You can read that if you feel like it. It's a very interesting house to me historically, because it's kind of hard for me to tell what's going on, and I like that. The house is on the west side of South First Street, south of West Jeff, and north of West Madison. And the applicant is seeking HDC approval to add a 199 square foot rear addition off the southwest corner of the house behind the existing side wing. So, running through the photos here. The covered porch here was built, added at some point in front of this side addition. I mentioned the addition does have a stone foundation. You can't really see it there, but it's very old. It's differentiated a little bit from the main house. The windows are a little bit different, but there used to be a wraparound porch that went all the way across the front and around to this side door. And this is what it looks like from the back. It's sort of a storybook cottage in the back, which I just love. Here's the back of the addition, and the proposal is to put a single-story addition slightly inset from this brick corner and going back and basically filling up this space here. Features that would be lost to the addition are this hobbit door on the side, which is very odd, and a glass-blocked-in window, and these two windows that are larger 1/1s. Here's a view on the left of the back of the house. This was tacked on at some later date, sort of an entry or mudroom. There was not a porch back here that was ever shown on maps, at least. And this is the view up the side, the other side that wouldn't be affected by this work. So here's the Sanborn, shows you the one-story front porch and the two additions.
If you look at that, the south addition is flush with the back of the two-story in the Sanborn. But what's built, there's a window reveal there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also
There's
a
so many
peculiarity,
things.
yeah.
Really, most of these houses are pretty straightforward to figure out, but this one just
Yeah.
is not.
It was rebuilt.
But fortunately, it's just charming the way it is. There's a two-story barn in the back. This is marked auto garage, but if you go back a little bit farther, it would have had a big X across it signifying that it was built as a barn or a stable. Photographs and renderings from the applicant, you can see where the new addition starts back here. It would be a continuous roof. It's metal now, and it would be re-roofed all of one integral metal standing seam roof. You can't tell that when you're standing there at all. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. No, I guess I can't. No, it's not going to let me do it. Okay. There is vertical siding on the upper portion of the addition. The windows, the lintels up here have been squared off. This is not a stone lintel because this is frame construction, but it's sort of a board on edge to look like a lintel that would have matched all of the rest of them on the house, which is kind of a cool detail. And the windows are not the same proportions. Below is sort of a knee wall of brick to be compatible and tie in with the rest of the house, but to also distinguish it. Here is where the 199-foot addition is located on the back of the house. This is a great, one of the original sized Old West Side lots. Very spacious. This is the existing, there's the door there that I showed you that would be removed, and air conditioning unit would be relocated back here. It's shown on a different drawing, and these are the windows that would be taken out here on the side. There is the addition. The inset is 5 inches from the existing corners. The house is currently 1,794 square feet. All of it's believed to have been built before 1945, so this would be an increase of 11% of floor area and 17% of footprint. The vertical siding is true exterior poly ash, which are.
That's Boral.
It is Boral? Okay.
Well, that's the company that makes true exteriors, yeah.
Okay, okay. I Googled it and the page didn't say Boral anywhere, so I sort
Oh.
of was reading about it, and it's made of fly ash, a coal combustion byproduct.
yeah,
which
that's-
is kind of
that's
cool.
Boral, yeah.
Okay, okay. Windows are Geldwin wood double hung, and the windows have a false lintel made from a painted 6-inch trim board on edge. I already mentioned that. This addition is small and discreet, and staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now.
I didn't even go through all the drawings. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
think. Here,
okay,
go
let's
the
get
rest
through
of
the drawings.
It's such a good one, but I got to show you the drawings. So the existing is here on the top. Here's how the addition would tie in and fill in this corner. You'll still see the entire slope of the 1.5 story here. That's maintained. Here, it's just a very low hip that's going to tie in very nicely to this roof surface. Information on the existing windows, information on the siding up here on top, information on the windows, and I think that's it. Yeah, and I've already read you those standards and guidelines, so staff still recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we will move on to the review committee report. Commissioner Kaplan, do you want to give us your report?
Oh, yeah, no, I think there isn't much to add to what Jill just said. I have a question, but I'll save it for that
Very good.
section of the review.
Appreciate that. Yes, I also don't have, I don't have anything. Oh, I guess I'll just reiterate that little first floor existing roof slope that they're matching, the slope is very, very shallow. It's just, you can't see that roof at all. Yeah. Even, we were back in the yard, you can't see it. It's just very, very shallow roof. And then everything else has been mentioned, so let's move on to the applicant comments. So would the applicant please approach the podium and provide your name and address for the record? And so you've got 5 minutes to speak, but just, do you have anything to add to the staff report or the review committee report?
No, yeah, my name is Ryan Cross. I'm the architect who did the drawings. My address is 1840 Coronada here in Ann Arbor. I don't really have anything to add, so I guess I'm just kind of here to answer any questions you guys might have.
Great.
Just one, in the addition, the Revit, the rendering, it was hard for me to see, and there's probably another drawing that shows it, but the overhang of the roof at the rear of that addition, is it designed to match the overhang along the side so that it's the same dimensions all the way around, it wraps that way?
Yeah, so I'm proposing that the fascia doesn't jog 5 inches like the exterior wall jogs 5 inches. So I'm carrying the fascia straight from the front continuously to the back.
So then the overhang gets more,
Yeah.
a little more profound as you go back? Okay.
And the main reason behind that is that even though you can't see the top of the roof, if you look at the top of the roof from satellite view, you'll see that it's a hip roof. So at the front, the water would slope to or drain to the front of the house, and then on the side, it comes down. On the back, same thing. So the new roof will also be a hip roof in shape. So if I have a 5-inch jog, if I incorporate that into the roof, it would then incorporate a new hip.
Yeah.
Which might be kind of awkward, given
Yeah.
that this is like a standing seam metal roof.
Yeah.
So my thought is just leave that off and continue the fascia straight across.
That's sensible, but then do you match the rear overhang to the broader overhang from where the addition notches in, or is it tied to the overhang of the roof at the front of the house?
I matched the rear overhang to the deeper side overhang, so that when it turns the corner, they're
Perfect.
equal.
That's what I wanted to know.
it also looks like that, it doesn't go too far, though, to cut off that very long sloping 1.5, right? That's what I'm seeing here, is like you'll still be able to see the 1.5-story roof slope
Yeah.
along it. Yeah, because your eye would be, if it came proud of that, you wouldn't be able to see it, but it looks like, well, from the renderings and from this view here, you'll still be able to see it.
Yeah, and I couldn't really cut that back, because if I had, I would then be exposing the top of the brick on the existing structure. And that roof overhang, it looks like it's coming down really far, but it's only sticking out from the existing house a foot. So yeah, just decided to leave that on there, especially because we wanted to step it in 5 inches from that corner. And that, of course, meant that we needed to take the 2 new windows and kind of hold them to the new corner of the addition to avoid the existing gutter.
Right. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. I have a question for you. This has to do with the indent, and I think that the brick is coming in 5 inches.
Yep.
And then I'm kind of going up the wall there, and I'm picturing that this is a brick cladding, like a full, real brick cladding, right?
Yep.
So there'll be an air gap and then a frame wall inside of that.
Yeah.
So and then you have a limestone cap and then the vertical boral. So when you have the vertical boral there, that's not going to be 5 inches, right? Isn't that going to be
That'll be more.
in like more like 4 inches from won't that be like a total of maybe 9 inches in? Okay, got it. So the indent is 5 inches at the brick and then more like, do you think 8 or 9 or something?
It'll be 9 inches. 'Cause,
Yeah.
because we'll have the 3 5/8 inch brick with,
Yeah.
well, a half-inch gap behind or a
Yeah.
1-inch gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be a 9-inch return where we have the siding.
Yeah.
So the brick will kind of appear more as a veneer
Yeah.
versus like a structural brick,
Right,
like what we see on the house.
yeah. So I think that probably helps the commission, where 5 inches is on the minimal side. 9 inches seems, at least that's kind of, we like a foot or a foot and a half or something, but this is a small project, so 5, maybe kind of, but I think that we're getting there. And visually, having that step back, I think it's really going to reveal kind of that it's 2 separate things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thanks for that explanation. Any other questions for the applicant here? All right, we might need you again, Ryan, but
Okay.
just, we'll call you up if we need you. And we'll move to the public comment. I don't see anyone here for public comment. Is there anyone on the line?
There is not.
Okay, so we'll close that portion, and we will move on to the motion. Is there any commissioner who would like to make a motion on this hearing? Commissioner Cano, please.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 548 South First Street, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to add 199 square foot rear addition. As proposed, the work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 5, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site, additions, and roofs, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines for all additions, residential additions, and roofs.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Cano. Do I have a second there? Seconded by Commissioner Kaplan. Thank you both. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Nothing. Okay. I'm guessing that the lack of discussion is just due to agreement with the proposal here, and so let's just go right to a vote then. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, please say no. The motion carries. Your application has been approved. Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was the last hearing I was looking at the clock earlier. Did anyone, did anyone see that? Okay, all right. I thought, I'm like, I hope other people are seeing
like on
this.
a cartoon.
And now it's back to the actual time, so I really was doubting myself.
For a
But,
second.
Missed that.
It went all the way to the left.
okay.
Pauses momentarily at the right time and then speed all the way around.
That's how exciting this meeting is, that you guys have been watching the clock the whole time.
Oh, yeah, there it goes.
Is it doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Is this one an hour off, too?
It's an hour and out, but look at it
Oh, look at how fast it's going.
Yeah, it's quite wild. Okay.
Well, that one's got a good comment.
Like we're in the twilight zone. What time is that? What day is it?
So now we're moving on to item G, and that's new business. And do we have any new business today?
We do not.
No new business, so let's move to approval of minutes. We got the December meeting minutes in our packet.
We did.
Yeah, it was in there.
Oh, no, I'm confirming.
We
That
did,
was a
okay.
statement, not a
There was an
question. Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
And so did anyone have a chance to review those? And
I didn't catch any.
I didn't see anything.
okay, all right, appreciate that. So then the meetings are approved without objection. We'll move on to I, reports from commissioners. Would any commissioner like to share something with the commission? Okay. Assignments, we've got the Monday, the review committee. We need two volunteers for Monday, March 11th at noon. And the meeting that week is Thursday, March 14th. So everyone open up your
This is the
diaries.
final noon
Okay.
review committee, and starting for the April meeting, they'll be at 5 o'clock.
That's more reliable than.
If it's in 1 hour, I can definitely do it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is there's never any
Yeah.
guarantee that it'll be an hour, and that's actually sort of weird that we've had so many in a row that are only a couple of applications. So I don't think, if you have anything between 12 and 2, you should not volunteer typically.
I can do it.
You can do it. All right, we got
I'll be
Kathy.
there.
Oh, good. All right. Steve.
Great, Kathy and Steve. Thank you both.
Thank you for that. Okay, reports from staff. What do you got?
So at the last meeting that was canceled, I had put on the agenda to talk about the retreat. Typically, we have a once a year HDC retreat. It's held on a Saturday morning. It's usually from 9 to noon. We try to do it before spring is over, because then everything heats up and nobody can ever get away on a Saturday morning. So I would love if you could get out your calendars. I could do like a doodle poll or something if you wanted me to send that out. But if you can give me some ideas of when you may or may not be available, this would not be, let's see, it's February now. This could be in early March. It could not be in late March because of all the spring breaks. It could be in early April. So we're looking at earlier March or early April. And oftentimes people will just say, yeah, I'm going to be out of town this weekend or that weekend, and we can knock some out that way. Or if there are no conflicts, which never happens, we can just choose a weekend.
Jill, is the purpose of this retreat, like our goal setting and our work plan setting for the year? Or is it training, or is it?
It's, so we do a couple things at every retreat. We look at the bylaws, and if any changes need to be made. Usually that's a 5-minute exercise, but once in a while, once every 10 years or so, we do need to change things in the bylaws, then it becomes a bigger discussion. We always have a slideshow of projects that have been approved and built in the last year or two, where I show you what you guys looked at to approve it, and then I show you what was actually built, which is very useful to help you get a sense of, oh, that's what it looks like when it's this on paper.
Yeah, that is an extremely useful exercise.
Yeah, and we often look at things and say, wow, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, or, man, what were we thinking when we approved that? So it is helpful, and that takes up a chunk of time, because that's usually 100 slides or so. We generally have some topic of training or interest, or there's usually a theme. I wanted to ask you guys if I can pull this off, if you'd be interested in learning more about how historic districts do or do not impact affordability, and whether or not they reinforce racism or other housing practices, because that's coming up now. People are questioning this in historic districts. All of the historic districts are close into downtown. It's prime real estate. I'm not saying that we need to justify historic districts, but I think it would be good to talk about some of the broader issues so that you guys just, have more background on them. The thing is, I have to find somebody to do this because I'm not prepared to do it myself. And we often do that. We'll bring somebody in as sort of a guest speaker. We haven't in the last couple of years, but, things have been happening the last couple of years. So if there are no objections, I will try to find someone who can do that with us. And I'm always open to additional topics, like we talked about. Maybe we need to make some changes to the staff approval list. This is a great time to do that. It's a meeting that's open to the public, and usually somebody shows up from the public. I bring in sort of light breakfast, bagels and donuts and coffee and stuff like that. It's often these days at a city building like the Senior Center or Gallup Park or someplace like that. If anybody has any ideas or views on great spaces that are easily accessible to the public, that would be great to hear about. So that's what we're looking at. Everything sound okay so far?
Good question.
Yeah, I'd say
absolutely.
If you could find
Okay.
someone to speak
Yeah.
on those topics,
Yeah.
that'd be
That
interesting.
topic sounds
Yeah.
great.
If there's anything that especially you newbies hear us talk about where you're kind of like, man, I'd like more information on that, it's also a good time for that, for sort of refresher courses for all of us on specific topics. If you are having a hard time coming to grips with additions or windows or a certain part of the standards or all of the standards and guidelines, don't be shy about letting me know if there's anything that would be helpful. Okay? So now we're going on to dates. We have the first 2 weekends in March, which are the 2nd and the 9th.
I am out on the 9th.
Cannot do that.
You're out on both?
Well, I'm not too worried about you, Jess.
No, I know. I was going to say, I can't do them, but don't let me hold things up here because,
We'd love to have you, but
yeah. Maybe just tell me how the discussion went.
I'm sorry, you said that you're out the 9th, Dave?
It looks like it.
Okay.
It's very likely. I can get back to you.
9 to
Noon. Yep. Or we could do 8 and 11 to 11 if people would rather.
I think 9 to noon is
Nobody likes to get up, but nobody likes to take up their Saturday.
right.
My sleep day.
I know. I think I can't do the 2nd because I think there's a soccer game that was just added to the schedule.
I don't know.
Tell me about it.
That's why I'll be in Cincinnati for a tournament on the 9th, so
okay.
that's worse than whatever you've got right
Okay,
now.
I'm
right
going
now.
to say
Okay.
March 9th, no David.
But April's looking okay.
April, let's see.
The 6th and the 13th?
I can't do the 13th, but I'm free for the 6th.
You're free for the 6th? Okay.
Well, there's never a date that actually works for everyone,
Yeah.
so yeah.
And
You shouldn't expect that.
quite frankly, I'm more interested in getting the newer commissioners there than some of the ones that have more experience, no offense. So if we have to pick a day where somebody can't go, that's gonna kind of tip the scales. But I'm hearing no April 6th. Who said no to April 13th?
That was me.
Okay. So 6 is no Chip, 13 is no Ben.
What about the 20th and the 27th, or you said early April?
Well, I mean, Saturday the 20th.
Are we into cyclone season then, Dave?
Quite possibly, yeah. I did just send that out. Yeah, maybe. Mhm.
Yeah, I can't do
Yes, I could.
I can't do the 20th either. Yeah.
Cyclone season.
April
Our
27
daughter's
is
on the
April.
same soccer team.
Oh, got it. I just went-
Not an actual cyclone.
Spring,
Yeah.
spring, yeah.
So April
Like here in the
27
Midwest, we
is
call them tornadoes.
Passover. That's probably not ideal.
No, well, it depends if it's the, it's really a nighttime holiday, to be honest, so
Yeah.
Passover would be okay.
That would be okay?
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
Just couldn't
April,
have a bagel, you know, but other than that, bring my
Oh,
own
yeah.
matzah. But
Yeah.
you can have, you know, anything in the morning on Passover will be fine. Yeah, it's a
Okay, okay.
nighttime kind of,
okay, okay. April 27? Am I hearing any
I can do the,
objections?
We are deep into soccer season at that point.
I know, and we won't, well,
reckoning
I
soccer.
won't,
Yeah.
I won't have our soccer schedule.
Games begin the weekend of April 13th for that.
Yeah,
I could make a request for an afternoon game that day, so. yeah.
okay. I can send my kid with somebody else.
Well, we're the coaches, so we have to show up.
Okay, so tentatively, April 27 is the winner?
Oh,
All right, good, thank you. Thank you, and I'll report back next month on whether I'm having any luck finding a suitable moderator, speaker,
yeah, that gives you a little more time
presenter.
to find someone to.
It does, and that's
yeah.
good too, yeah, okay. And if that doesn't work out, we will shift gears and switch topics. Thank you all.
Should,
Thank you.
Mr. Mayhem, give it to somebody as their master's project
Yeah,
for next year if you can't find anybody.
yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay, so is there any more reports from staff?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Are you getting a lot of like springtime requests for things yet, or?
Yep.
Okay, what,
This agenda had 4 additions.
yeah. Air conditioners, or what are, heat
No,
pumps coming in
haven't
yet?
had those yet. No,
Okay.
not yet, not yet.
Interesting, all right. Okay. And how's next month looking?
I already have 2 egress windows that were incomplete for this month, so those are on next month's agenda.
Very good. All right, well, let's move on then to concerns of commissioners. Are there any concerns of commissioners?
not a concern, but a quick question.
Yeah, of course.
In the review of 805 3rd Street, in the back of my mind, you and I, when we were there, we both noticed, you were talking about the proximity to the house on the neighboring house.
Yeah.
And how it blocks windows. I didn't bring it up in this because my real feeling is my concerns weren't about the historic nature of the house. And I'm presuming that if that wall going right in front of the window of that guy's basement office who lives next door, if that were an issue of livability, that it would have come up in his request for his modification of variance or something like that. Like that's just not our purview to bring up, is it?
Well, we look at the placement of the addition on the lot, and we do look at impacts to neighboring historic structures.
Right, to historic structures,
Yeah.
from the point of view of how we see them. If it were to block our view of an historic structure that was neighboring, I could see that mattering to us.
Or if it's if there's
Right.
something small, it's going to be looming over a historic structure. A lot of times that comes up.
But in this case, it wasn't that. It was just that we were looking, a wall's going to go up 3 feet away from someone's home office. And it's a south-facing window. It's just like his life is going to change. I just don't know that here is where we address that.
I would think not, and, sometimes we get neighbors who come in to the public hearing and say.
Right, they had a choice to,
say,
they had a choice
dang,
to
I don't want
dissent
this
it,
in my
and
backyard.
I'm
This is
I'm
not
assuming they probably
appropriate.
did some positive outreach, a charm
They may have.
offensive
They
to,
may
like,
not have.
make that okay.
I don't know if the neighbors know what's going on
Right.
in this case.
Right, yeah.
But they get a notice for
That's what I was gonna say, like, no?
No, they don't get notices.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
Not for the
yeah.
ZBA?
Oh, for the ZBA, they would,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So they
Not for
did a
HTC,
notice
but
to
yes,
the
for
ZBA,
ZBA,
and they
yeah.
had the opportunity to.
That does feel like a zoning issue, right?
That's kind of what I thought, and I didn't want it to muddy our
But
waters.
there are,
Well,
there
it's
are,
always good to just bring something up to.
yeah.
It's a good question, but also just, throw it out there and, yeah.
There are guidelines that talk about the historic setting, and we do look at things like how much of the historically open backyard is this going to cover up?
Right.
And is it going to look funny sticking out in the back when everybody else's backyards end up here, and now yours is going to start back there because of this big addition jutting out? But, yeah, it's,
I mean, I think there are a whole bunch of other concerns, like, that aren't ours, like, how are they dealing with stormwater runoff on that site?
Oh, yeah.
It's so steep. Like, are they
Yep.
putting in a cistern, like,
Yep.
but that's not for us to talk
Right,
about.
exactly.
Right.
I'm dying to know how they're gonna excavate back there.
oh,
I mean, are they gonna fly in an excavator?
Yeah, it's gonna be a modular, they're gonna have to do a modular building or something, yeah, 'cause they won't be able to get anything big back there.
Right.
yeah, or anything small back there.
Yeah, that's true. Very good, okay, thank you for that comment, it's appreciated. Any other questions, comments, concerns of commissioners?
Just
Yeah, good.
next month will be my last meeting. I'm a little sad about leaving the commission, but,
You'll be
yeah,
busy.
just, hopefully we can find a new seat filler.
We're looking.
Took a while, so.
Yeah, we are looking, so if any of you know anyone, as always.
When's Jennifer's last meeting?
Jennifer's? She's staying.
Oh, she's staying?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
I
this
had a
was-
conversation with her today
Oh.
about that. She's staying. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that worked out fine. Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Well,
But yes, we will miss
Jess,
you.
we are very sad to see you go. I don't know, I'm speechless.
Maybe I'll just come to you.
Well, no, I mean,
Bring an extra.
we don't want you doing that. We don't want you doing that, but
but.
we've loved having you on the commission, so.
Jess, is there anybody in your office that's interested?
I'll poke around.
Yeah,
I mean,
please do.
Greg, I talked to Greg several times about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been on the commission, Greg
Yeah.
Greg
But
Jones.
it's been a
Yeah.
while.
He
haven't seen
wasn't
him in a
interested, yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Okay, so then, when we did the slotting of the spots for who's going to be the leadership of the commission, the election of officers,
Yeah,
Jen was assuming that she was not going to be part of the commission. So she would have probably
Oh.
stepped up as a
I see.
leader. So now, I don't know what to do about that. I
Well-
feel like,
I mean, we got officers, they are who they are. and-
okay,
Yeah. If somebody wanted to step down, I guess we could have other elections, but if there was somebody who really didn't want to be an officer.
well, yeah, that was basically the situation in December where
Oh, got it.
people
Yes,
really didn't want to be.
I missed a lot that meeting.
Well, because we were sort of, it was an obvious, like, here's who's going to be next.
Yeah.
And then they both told us that they weren't going to be on the commission anymore.
it.
And so then
Got
it
it.
was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, okay, wow.
Okay, so if you are a officer and you really don't want to be one, you need to bring that up before the next meeting and.
Otherwise, you're
Do we know
stuck.
that Jennifer really wants to be one? No.
I don't think so. I mean, she hasn't expressed it to me. She's
Okay.
expressed no regrets in not running in December.
Okay. Variables.
Well, that's when she thought she was moving to Ipsy or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, but she's
Okay.
not. She's good.
All good. That's really great news.
Yes, it is.
I'm so happy to hear that. Are there communications this month to the
There are
to the
not.
commission? Okay, very good. In that case, I now adjourn the February 8th, 2024 HTC meeting. Thank you all. What time is it? 9:15.